Joining me now, Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia. He's a member of the Armed Services and Foreign Relations Committees. Senator Kaine, thank you very much for coming back to the Sunday show. President Biden has asked Congress for $33 billion in aid to Ukraine, and he's asking for $10 billion in spending to deal with COVID here in the U.S. Can Congress deliver on that?
Jonathan, we have to. And actually, there's one other big one. We have a competitiveness bill to make the American workforce the most competitive in the world that's been pending. The Senate passed it last July, the House a couple months ago. My prediction is in May, we will do COVID aid, Ukraine aid, and the competitiveness bill. And I think we have to do all three.
You know, Republicans are reportedly blocking these spending bills because they insist, here's another factor, on forcing a congressional vote on Title 42, which has allowed border agents to turn away migrants at the border using the health emergency over COVID. Do you see that to be a main issue here?
I think, Jonathan, here's my philosophy. Bills that are on the Senate floor, we should allow amendments to the bills and vote them up or down. So yes, Republicans have said as part of a COVID bill, since the Title 42 emergency regulation of the Trump administration was justified by COVID, they want to vote on that. And our job is to vote. So I don't think we should be afraid of a vote. We need to get the COVID bill up on the floor. And if the Republicans want to offer a Title 42 amendment, we'll take a look at it, see what the amendment is, and then we should vote. But we shouldn't let the threat of a controversial amendment slow our pace down in getting the bill done, because voting on stuff is what we're supposed to do. I think we can get to a COVID bill, a Ukraine bill, and this Competitiveness Act. We can get them all done into the president's desk between now and Memorial Day if we push.
Senator, one of the questions I have in mind is, the president proposed a $33 billion spending bill for Ukraine, which is on top of another multi-billion-dollar spending bill for Ukraine. There are people who are saying that this war, Russia's war on Ukraine, could go on not just months, but years. How long will Congress support these multi-billion-dollar aid packages for Ukraine, one? And two, how long do you think the American people will support such spending for priorities that don't have to do with them here at home?
Jonathan, I've been impressed in Virginia. I'm an Armed Services and Foreign Relations member in a state that's very, very military heavy. And also 1 out of 9 Virginians is born in another country. I've been incredibly impressed by Virginians all over the state supporting the U.S. and our allies, trying to help make sure Ukraine wins this illegal invasion that Russia chose to visit upon them. And so you're right. The well is not unlimited. We just did about $14 billion, half military aid, half humanitarian aid, just a couple months ago. And we haven't released it all. We're releasing chunks of it as we go. We'll do the same with this next package. But I think when a war criminal engages in an illegal invasion, the world's got to stand up to it, not just the U.S., but our allies, and they are. And that's what we need to keep doing, and not just for Russia's sake. Other authoritarians around the globe have to see that democracies will unite to defeat war criminals who want to wage illegal wars.
We've got less than a couple minutes left. We want to switch gears to voting rights and the redistricting fights that have been going on all around the country. Some have been good for Democrats, some not so much. What's your view on the fight over redistricting, but also what's ultimately the fight over the right to vote?
Well, on the redistricting, I think, Jonathan, that redistricting has been done in different states. There's been some successful lawsuits and some failed lawsuits on both sides. I don't think redistricting from a congressional standpoint eventually changed the map too much. In particular districts it did, but in terms of likelihood of gaining control, I think it was probably a wash. We'll see in November. But the voting rights battle is the one that just really grabs me. We have needed to do voting rights to respond to January 6th, an effort to disenfranchise 80 million people who voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, a violent effort to do so. And we also need to respond by efforts in Republican states to make it harder for people to vote. All 50 of my Senate Democratic colleagues support robust voting rights legislation. Not all 50 will support Senate rules changes to accomplish it, and we don't have Republican votes yet. So we've got to win more seats or keep talking to Republicans and find ways to get them to agree with, if not everything, we might want some subset of it. But I'm not happy about this. I think January 6th demanded protection of voting rights. That's the only real antidote to the kind of violent disenfranchisement effort we saw, and thus far we haven't done it.
Win more seats. Those are the three key words there. Senator Tim Kaine, thank you, as always, for coming to the Sunday show. Well,